Scaling a business isn't all glossy headlines and overnight success. It's messy, it's tough, and it's full of lessons that no one warned you about. I'm Nikki Jupp, the founder of Talent Gateway, and I've helped over 100 scale-ups to build the right teams, enabling them to scale with confidence. This is Scaling Stories Unfiltered, where founders, CEOs, and scale-up leaders share what really happens behind the scenes. No fluff, no filler, just honest conversations to help you scale smarter. So let's get into it.
I was making decisions as if I trusted my team. So yeah. I know they can deliver. No, I know they can't, but okay, let's assume they can deliver. What can I do? What can I change so that we get the results we want? And it's let the people you hired to do something to do that thing, rather than telling them how to do it and what to do. So you're not tapping on that potential.
I'm joined today by a leader whose journey spans continents, code and culture. Renaud Vandewalle is an entrepreneur, executive coach and AI innovator with 15 years experience of steering multicultural teams across Australia, Indonesia, Canada, France and the UK. Starting out as a software developer, Renaud quickly moved into leadership, becoming the MD and leading a company turnaround, which transformed not just the operations, but the very way teams and leaders connect. Now, as founder of Anti-Hero Management, he helps tech founders in scale-up mode become the leaders their businesses truly need by leading with clarity, humility, and human connection. He's also the co-founder of Cayus AI, an AI-powered platform described as a chief of staff in your pocket, and the author of The Intergalactic Journey of a Manager, which I can say is a really interesting read. It challenges conventional thinking about leadership for the modern era. Renaud is building the future of leadership through coaching, tech, and people. And so I just want to say a big, warm welcome, Renaud. Let's jump in. I'm really interested to learn, as I'm sure our listeners are, about the start of your sort of journey, because you began your career as a software developer, followed by a number of commercial roles before ultimately into an MD role where you led a transformation, and then most recently into entrepreneurship and founding your own businesses. And coaching, obviously. But what first drew you to technology and ultimately into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. I'm really happy to be here today. So to answer your question, it was a very easy path for me because math was very easy for me. The logic was second nature. So I just did what was the easiest. And I did a bachelor in mathematics and then moved to an engineering school in mathematics and IT. Like coding and also seeing what you built showing up on the screen was very rewarding. So I quite enjoyed that part. But it was very much maybe being lazy, but it just worked. I did not have any inspiration of any career or any job. It just was an easy path.
I'm not sure all of us could say doing a maths degree would be easy, but and so given that start, what do you think ultimately led you? And we're going to cover the time period in between university and now building your own business and coaching people. But is there anything along that journey that when you look back, you can say that was a moment when things changed for me in your earlier years?
Yeah, so basically I grew up in France, studied in France, and I moved to Australia for my last internship degree, and I got hired as a developer, but within a year I became a project manager. That was like a tough experience in a way because I started in that company. It's a small company and I was an intern, and then I became the manager of the people who were mentoring me just a year earlier. And those people, one of them was 20 years older than me. So yeah, it was, I do not advise to do this, but when you're in a small setting, sometimes it just happens. So that was a big experience for me. But in terms of a shift as well, like from coding to project management, doing that so quickly is because even though, yeah, coding is rewarding, I was not the passionate kind of coder or developer like other friends in my engineering school. And I really found the problem was more about the people knowing what they want and the gap with what they actually need versus the coding itself. You write something for the machine to do something, it will obey and it will just do whatever you want. But then you have to redo a lot of things. And I thought the more interesting bit on this project was actually to figure out what needed to be built. And that's where I started to realize that the relationship with people is what interested me the most.
And obviously, we'll dive into the journey in more detail as the conversation develops. But you touched on there that you went to Australia. Now, you are well-travelled. You've worked in numerous cultures and different parts of the world and led teams. What were some of the challenges that you've seen through leadership in different countries that have influenced the way you lead and coach others to lead today?
Yeah, the main thing that I've learned is that we are all different through different cultures. We communicate differently. And that's the main thing, is that actually knowing that you look at it from your own culture as well. And even though you've got a team that is not multicultural, if you lead them as if it was multicultural, that's actually a good way to look at it, because people are still different. They still have very different beliefs. And so that's one of my takeaways from this experience. But yeah, I had to manage people based in Indonesia remotely from Australia, and then after from Canada. And you can't communicate and manage the same way everybody. It's just, we talk about having your own style of management to be authentic but you have to adapt your approach to different people in certain ways. Some people would be very independent, and some people would need a lot of support on a daily basis.
So give me an example. Take me through, how would we see that show up in reality?
Yeah, for example, with that Indonesian team, if I could not let them do some work and catch up like a week later, because even though I would check in every day how things are going, they would want to please me and they would tell, yes, things are fine. But I find out later that it's not fine at all. And so I would have to jump on the call. And even like within this team, they were quite different personalities as well. So it's just, especially at the beginning, when you get to know your team, you have to spend a lot of time with them very closely. And once you know how to work with them, then you get into a rhythm. Yeah, it's just that even within this team, there's some people I would check up on every day, and some it would be more every 3 days. Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah. And was there a moment, I guess, earlier where you realised, because being a developer and even a project manager is very hands-on, it's all about delivery. Was there something that happened that said, actually, I don't want to be hands-on, I want to lead others?
I think that it's when I had no choice anymore, because it feels a lot better to be in control. And so I would not let go until I really had to. And that's what happened when I became the MD of a company, like a software reseller in London, way later on. I joined that company as a director, so that was already a step up for me. But even as an operations director, I could be still quite hands-on in some ways.
Yes.
What I mean by that is that I was not the coding that was long gone, but I was still very much, even though it did not feel that way, it was definitely micromanaging.
Yeah.
By this, I'm saying that I had very early great successes, in my view, based on the experience I had. In France, for you to become a project manager, it takes 3 to 5 years if you have an engineering degree. That's just the way it is. In other cultures, like in Commonwealth type of cultures in Australia, Canada, and the UK, it's a bit more, we give you the opportunities. It's not as much about the diploma. So if you are hungry and you seem to prove yourself, then we're going to give you more and more. And so I was lucky to be in that set in Australia and have that managing director. I've always reported to the founders of the company, which was also very lucky of me, I believe. And so when I became the MD, I knew that something had to change.
Yeah.
I could not do it the way I was doing it because it did not work. And that was the first time that I'm failing now.
Interesting.
Because my point was that when you succeed rapidly, or not even rapidly, I think it's just that you become a manager because you were good at what you were doing. I was good at coding, great. You become project manager. Now you're good at project managing, you became operations director. You're good at what you're doing, then you become managing director, great. So you feel that what you're doing is the right way because customers happy, investors happy.
Yeah.
Guys, just do what I do. This is how it works. But when I became DMD, why I thought things would need to change is because we were failing as a company because we had about almost $1 million in debt. So over the last 5 years since I joined that company, there was like about $200K that was invested every year. And so something had to change. I became the managing director because the investor said, I trust you, you're going to do something about it. But in the back of my mind, I knew that I had maybe 6 months in front of me because things would need to change. And that's where I was like, okay, yeah, I'm operations director. I became managing director. Great. But if I keep doing what I've been doing, I know where it's going. And in 6 months' time, we just close shop. And so I just got that personality of daring, taking risks in some ways. But I was just telling myself, okay, what's going to happen? In 6 months' time, we close shop. What could you do differently?
Yeah.
And in a way, there's not a lot of risk. Like the biggest risk I could take is that we close shop in 3 months instead of 6.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I didn't care. I don't need my job for another 6 months. I would get another job. It's for the sake of the company. It's not to keep burning this investment for nothing. So something had to change. That's where I realized that I actually don't trust my team in delivering all of this because I was, again, keeping the control. So I decided, okay, I've got nothing to lose. So now I'm just going to share to the team. This is where we need to go. Now you all have your own responsibilities. I actually promoted a key person in that team. The most senior person I just promoted to take the operations management on. But I did not trust that person either to actually manage that team. And the investor and the previous managing director did not trust that person either. And that's why I was hired as the operations director. They looked for someone else outside the team instead of promoting that person. But I decided that's worth trying. I've got nothing to lose. Everybody believes that it's going to fail even faster because I promoted that person, and now I'm going to let them look after the how, basically. So I just said, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
Now the how, you've got responsibilities, I've got mine. I'm here to support you. Obviously, I don't have extended budget, but whatever you need, it's the how is your problem in a way. I'm here to support you, but how you want to do it, change whatever you need to change to make it happen.
And that's really interesting situation because obviously there were behaviours inside the company. So did the previous MD move on?
Yes, he moved on to completely different career. So yeah, I think that it's the pressure of, he was the ultimate responsible for not making this business profitable.
Yeah.
So that's why the change was required. And that's when the investors said that actually, I trust you can do something about it.
Most people coming into that situation, your situation, would have automatically thought, if I don't trust this person or people, to your point, I'm going to get rid of them.
Yep.
Why the different approach?
I guess that I also, when you hire someone, you know what you have, you don't know what you would get. So in terms of the timing, I knew that something had to change fairly quick. And if I were to get some, like in job that we're doing, like to get trained on the software that we were reselling, it took months. I didn't have those months.
Yeah.
So like building a better team, a team that I would trust, etc. as well, it takes time. You don't give trust to someone like this. People have to prove that you're worth trusting it. It just takes time. And yeah, on that example, I just trusted before trusting instead of I was making decisions as if I trusted my team. So
Yeah.
I know they can deliver. No, I know they can't. But okay, let's assume they can deliver. What can I do? What can I change so that we get the results we want? And it's let the people you hired to do something to do that thing rather than telling them how to do it and what to do. So you're not tapping on that potential. To answer your question, it's just that I felt like I do not have that time and nor necessarily the resources, because if you look at I want better people, then it means better pay, which is
and the cost associated. Yeah. And so interesting, you used the word trust a few times. Can we unpack that? So you said you didn't trust either the individual or several of them. What caused that distrust? What was it that you saw?
Because they were not applying what I told them to do properly, but that's the way I would have done it, because we're not the same people. We're different. We look at things differently. We would handle things differently. We have our own fears as well that dictates how we handle things. And so they were resisting what I was telling them to do. They did it, but there was that resistance. And well, also we did not get the results that was required for the business. Like in terms of, we're in the service business, so it's the billables. So it's we call it the utilization. And the utilization was really low in comparison to what it should be in this kind of business. So that just looking at the performance, the results, and the fact that the process was not followed as I would have done it.
And so it took you, so if I'm understanding correctly, it took you were still micromanaging because you hadn't trusted them to implement in a way that you thought was the right way to do it. So your approach changed and your attitude was very much, okay, let's approach this as if I do trust them and accept that they're going to do it in their own way, not just Renaud's way.
Yes. Yeah, the biggest challenge was when I saw and I would see them doing things differently. And in my mind, I was like, this is such a waste of time. Like what they're doing here is not going to get us the results or whatsoever. So that was the biggest challenge for me, is that when I was living this and seeing this, but I committed to it and I just look at the numbers. I just looked at the performance. And that's all I was looking at, and I could see it improving. So even though, yes, maybe 10% of their time was wasted on some optimization of something or a side project or like something that I don't felt was very important, but it increased massively the billables and the rest. And looking at the numbers, well, in the past, they were wasting a lot more time because it was not built to the customer in that case. So yeah, just looking at the results. So it's more like results driven rather than process driven.
Yeah. Oh, that's quite, that in itself is quite interesting. So the results were starting to speak for themselves. What other impacts were there on the business of you deciding to take that different approach and ultimately trusting the team?
Yeah, the other thing that was very nice is that I used to go to the office not wanting to go to the office. Oh, I'm going to have to deal with my team. I'm going to have that resistance, and it's just going to be difficult because I'm going to have to find some ways to convince them, to mold them into what I want them to do. I'm going to have that conversation again with this and that, and I was not happy going to the office, where the relationship changed. It shifted because you empower them. There's less conversation about the how. It's more about supporting them. So the interaction was a lot more like respectful as well.
Yeah.
We had respectful relationship before that, but respect by the fact that I was more seen as a leader, and also they were proving to me that they could actually pull this off. And so I respected them more in return as well. So it's just that relationship. We did not become the best friends ever. You don't have to become a friend to be a really good performing team. but we were happy to work together.
Yeah. And interesting, it was quite a leap for you to go from, it sounds like your career, you rapidly evolved. It sounds like you were spotted, given opportunities, and obviously clearly rose to those opportunities. But it's what inspired you at first to say, I'm going to have to adopt this, I call it methodology of operating as if I do trust them. That sounds quite an insightful thing to do for somebody who hadn't led a business per se before, albeit you'd been a leader in operations. Was it something that you read, something you watched? What got you to saying that's what I'm going to adopt?
The way I recall it, it may as well been something like that, but I was not aware of the leadership development industry at all, because I evolved in small companies and 10, 20 people maximum. Yeah. And so the level of training in leadership is down to 0. I did not even know that coaching existed. Yeah. I was not like reading books because I'm an IT guy. I'm not in literature. That was something I was not doing either. But about that time, that's when I started my journey in personal development as well. And that's when I also reached out to some of my former colleagues that moved into coaching. Still, I had no idea what it was about. But yeah, they told me to read some books. But yeah, I don't know if that's related to that, but it might as well have influenced me to take that leap. But I really believe that it was down to the fact that something had to be done, and everything that we've done did not work. It was not giving up, but it was, you know what, I don't care anymore. Yeah. Just do whatever you want. So it was not like really a smart move where I knew about coaching and all that. And yeah, definitely we need to support them to, etc. No, I discovered that later. As I do in my life, a lot of things is I explore. And then when I read books, I put words into what I've experienced. And sometimes, obviously, the other way around. Sometimes I explore stuff from books. But in that case, I think it was those type of moments where I don't care anymore. And I'm fine taking that risk and letting go all of this. We have to do something. If we have to close shop in 3 months, so be it.
You didn't need to close up shop.
No, exactly. Yes. Yeah. As I said, the performance went up. And so within a year, we became profitable.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, and the reasons for that is the performance improved, and also instead of me micromanaging, I could actually do my job. And as the MD of a small company, you are the salesman, and so I got the biggest deal that was covering like a few years of what we needed basically to run the business. And also I could focus on the strategy and stop some of the services that we were providing that was disturbing the team. So it was to refocus on our core strategy. Yeah. And with the team delivering on that as well. So it was very much a team effort, and everyone could perform in their own responsibilities.
So clearly, to start off with a really challenging time, and you and the team turned it around, but you decided not to stay in the sort of leadership lane, as it were, the traditional leadership lane. You left that business, but you didn't take on another executive role. You then pursued coaching. So tell us a little bit about...
Actually, I was not pursuing coaching at the beginning. It's just that when the situation improved, the investor wanted to move on to other projects. So we were discussing a deal where I would take the full ownership of that company. But just having that discussion got me to take a step back on what I was doing, because I was so focused on getting things done and making this company to work that I did not actually think about what I wanted to do. And I thought if I were the path that I could see taking over the full ownership of that company was not as exciting as just starting something from scratch and to open other possibilities. And because I've been working directly with the founders and entrepreneurs, even in startup. I worked in a startup in Spain before that. Remotely, I was in London expanding that startup. But because I was always reporting directly to those founders, it got into me at the end. I was like, okay, let's start something from scratch. It's different than getting in the company, reshaping it. Starting from scratch is a challenge that I wanted to take on. And so I just said, yeah, I'm gonna do something else. And so I actually started another, like a startup type of project, but that failed after 6 months because I actually did not allow myself to go in coaching because I thought you have to be an ex-Google or you have to be a coach in some ways. So that was something I believed that belief I put aside, and then I actually leaned into coaching.
Interesting. And in your book, which we'll move on to, you advocate for a term, anti-hero, and I can see it behind you. For those who are on audio, they obviously can't see it behind you, which advocates a mindset. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So actually, that's very much related to what I said. Is what I found. So after I did my training as a coach, and then I started another company, and now it's a startup as well, but in technologies. But what I found reading a lot of books, because when I started, I could not stop, and that's why I actually wrote one, which is crazy. Like if you met Renaud 10 years ago and you tell him, even 5 years ago, and you tell him you're going to be writing a book in 2024, that's a very nice joke. So having read so many of those books, I found them inspiring, and I love people sharing their experience, definitely. But the problem that I found usually is that the message is, do what I did and you'll get the same results. And going back to what I said earlier, we are all different.
Yeah.
So it's good that people share their stories because it could inspire you and you can try and it might as well work for you. But to say that if you follow this structure, if you follow this path, it's that one size fits all in a way. In 3 months' time, you'll be completely different. I was believing that this was a lie. Sometimes it happens that you have leaped like that, like you leaped into becoming someone else very quick, especially I can see it in coaching. But I found being frustrated, applying stuff that did not work for me. And what I found is that a lot of people are doing that and it actually gets you stuck because you're like, you don't relate to those ex-Google, this ex-Microsoft. These guys, they have MBAs and they started and they're like 50 years, 60 years old now. I can't relate to them. I'm not them. I can't do that. And it puts that pressure that stops you from actually exploring your own style, because there's no one way to be a good manager. In my opinion, the best way is to find your own style. There's obviously some basics in a way, but it's just like when we say to be a good manager, you have to be authentic. What does that mean? Authentic. It means to be yourself. What does that mean? Isn't it a question that you're going to have to answer your whole life? Is it to say what you think? You should probably not. It's so vague that you have to figure out by yourself. Not by yourself in a way that you have to, it's good to get support so that you go faster and you get unstuck, but this is something that you have to explore. It's not something that will come to you like just mechanically applying this approach. Just another one is listening, which is another planet in my book, because I'm using storytelling because I find it more interesting in terms of reading and more engaging. And basically, it's that manager who travels and explores the different galaxies of the universe of management. And within those galaxies, there are planets where you would explore some concepts about management, some tools, some organizational approaches as well. Yeah. And it's very much that manager discovering this as the reader would. And then you just take what resonates with you. You don't have to adopt all of those planets in a way. You can't live in every planet at the same time. It's so much, oh yeah, that's interesting. I wanna try this, or I wanna try that, or this. No, it's definitely not me. Like this organizational approach. No, I don't believe in it. That's fine. Just move on to something else.
And I think that speaks to me of assisting people to be more self-aware. Because I think particularly, and I know some of the people that you coach are, I guess, earlier into that management or leadership whole experience. And it's daunting and a little bit scary, but no one wants to admit that, right? And you've got to deliver. And that whole piece around self-development, reading a book that takes you on a journey and allows you to have lots of different questions to answer and discover things about yourself. I find that concept really interesting. So what about the coaching side? You clearly coach tech founders. Let's just stick with learning first. So you've obviously done coach training. And from our conversation, you're not somebody who just likes to be spoon-fed. I'm going to take that on face value. What is it about coaching that has, whether the right word is, inspired you or hooked you along your sort of coaching development journey?
It's, for me, everything is about relationship, like relationship communications. So whether it's with your team, as a tech founder, you have to deal with your investors, your co-founders, and the team itself. So it's not only the team that I'm looking at. Usually the conversation will start with the team, but quite often we come into the discussion to the relationship they have with their co-founders, how to align themselves, and also with the investors. Yeah, what inspired me is very much those relationships that you see I also have with my clients. I very result driven. I always work towards one goal. So it's not like for any clients, usually thankfully they want to renew at the end of our 6 months program because they're like, yeah, I've achieved that. That's awesome. I want to get to the next level. I love that, but I tell them, good, but we need to figure out a goal. I'm not going to just have coaching on the week by week and just evolving. It needs to be an exciting goal. It needs to be ambitious for me to want to work with those customers. Yeah, I think the coaching, another aspect of coaching that I very much is that it's about helping people to see things from a different perspective, through a different angle, through different lens. And we're doing that through questioning, through creating that relationship with that person, and also challenging as well, challenging my customers, because it's a difficult one to do as a coach, but that's what I'm into. It's really to help those guys reach their ambitious goals. And you have to be all in. I'm all in I'm leading an AI startup in that leadership industry as well. And so I walk that talk, and it's very important to me that we have that same ambitions.
So that leads quite nicely on to Cayus AI. So you describe that as a chief of staff in your pocket. So I'm intrigued for you to share, where are you in the journey? What's the focus, and what's your ambition for that business?
Sure. Ambition is huge, that's for sure. But so what it is, what we found is we've interviewed a lot of people, not only tech founders, outside of tech founders as well, but what we found is that in the leadership industry, in terms of leadership development, we've got quite a few options. Like in the last 50 years, things have moved with the internet. The training got online. It's not the seminars anymore that you have to be face to face. They still exist, thankfully. And now you also have the social medias and platforms like YouTube, where most of the training and information, like the knowledge about leadership, is actually free on there. So online trainings are here to summarize, to put it through a different perspective and maybe a bit more engaging because you're paying for it. But we still find that people are overwhelmed when it comes to management. We still find that there's 77%, it's a study made by Gallup based in the US, 70% of people within your team are not engaged.
Yeah.
And so that's better than it used to be, but still we're very far from where you should be. In that same study, it says it's 8.7 trillion that it cost the global economy because of obviously the performance that is not there because of that engagement. So what I found is, even when you're a founder and small business and you don't know anything about coaching like I was, I don't even think of going to get help and seek help with a coach. And even for those that believes in it, you have to believe in it to invest in it, because it's not it's not the cheapest way to do it because it's tailor-made to you. It's one-on-one relationship. It's not the same as a seminar or of a training. But what I found is the timing was a problem, because when you even like self-training, like you could read a book, there's some great knowledge around this, but if you don't apply what you learned within the next 6 months, if you would be lucky if there's 5 to 10% left in what you learned. So that's one thing. The second thing is that it's not contextual. Like the training has to be in some ways one size fits all. Like we go with a seminar in bigger companies where you would get, let's say you got 100 employees, about 15 managers. You think it's a good idea to go on a 2 days seminar in a hotel somewhere with some coaches and trainers to help you on training on leadership development. But the problem is that you've got different seniority, and so you have to adapt and find a topic that is wide enough so that for the junior to resonate and for the founder or the most experienced leaders to take something out of it as well. Yeah, the context is not there. And finally, as I earlier expressed, the return on investment, like if you don't apply it straight away, or it might not resonate with you as well. So you might not take anything out of it. So it's a lot of time invested in this training and money that you might never get return on. So the main aspect was the real time. Even with a coach, I've got 3 coaches, and sometimes I get frustrated because there's a situation now and my next coaching session is in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And even though it's great, I have to deal with it by myself now. I do have some coaches, and I do that with my customers where they can just message me so that if they are in that situation, I can help them. But still, you're going to have to reach out to someone. It takes time. And so now with AI, this is solving all of those problems, all of those challenges, I would say. And that would take, I'm not saying it will replace everything, because the human relationship is key. And so even if it's a seminar, if it's an online training, if it's not recorded, but still you have that relationship with that person, and you're not going to replace that. But we would take it to the next level with AI. AI is not sleeping at night. It's got all of that knowledge, and most importantly, it also have your context, because Cayus, if you allow, it will go through all of your contextual, your emails, your team's retranscription. It will keep that very safe with you so that it doesn't go anywhere. It's very much good. Just you can say anything to Cayus. It's not going to share this with anyone within the team. The aim is also for the managers within the company to have access to Cayus to help them. It's not just tech founders. And so for them as well, it's the same thing. Like the founder will not know what's happening for that manager with Cayus and what's happening within that environment. It's very much a personalized approach for that manager. We're not here to help HR to find out if the manager is doing well or whether he's going to a burnout, or if some people within their team is going into a burnout. No, it's very much focusing on the growth of this manager and tailored, context aware for this manager.
Context is so important, and I think that feels to me like it's a thread through this conversation. Your personal context, where are you, who are you, etc., but also contextual in terms of the environment that you're operating in as well. Yeah. Culturally, what is that environment like? How do people behave, etc.? Cayus sounds really interesting. Given what you know, you've operated in a business, turned it around, and you're now at the beginning of your journey with Cayus. You've got experience of coaching people who are scaling businesses. What are some of the biggest challenges you think you are likely to face as you go to scale, to grow Cayus?
What are the challenges that I am likely to face for me growing Cayus? One of the challenges, like personal challenge, is more about letting go of the one-on-one coaching. I'm already very much reducing. Like it's 12 customers max. I can't have more, otherwise I don't have the time to develop the other part of the business. And it's very highly likely that within the next 6 months to a year, things are going to reduce dramatically. So that's my personal challenge, but I would want to keep coaching people one-on-one, because I do believe that you need to stay connected to what you are doing so that it can improve the products as well. So that's personal challenges. Then In terms of the other challenges, I feel very confident. I know that there will be lots of challenges. There's already been a lot of challenges. I already been in that situation a few times where the runway is in 6 months time. What do we do with your business partner panicking about we need to go freelancing so that we can make it, which is a sound advice. But again, it was just December last year, actually, where I decided, you know what, we've got 6 months runway.
Yeah.
6 months, I don't care to be in 6 months time closing shop in a way.
Yeah.
If it's in 3 months, it's in 3 months. So I actually invested the 3 months 3 months into some like a business accelerator and into coaching as well. That's why I've got 3 coaches right now. And within 2 months, that runway, I reduced it to 3 months, expanded to a year.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. It could have gone another way, but this is those challenges that I know I'm still gonna have. But it's all about what's your mission? Why are you doing this? And if that is clear, and that's what I help my customers with. If that is clear, then it gets you to go through that deep to that phase to actually move on, and also to let go of accepting failure as well. If it's gonna fail, it's gonna fail. It's okay. Like, you can't plan for a backup plan. You can't. If you do that, your focus is like you share your focus, and it's not even like you've got 50% chance that one or the other is gonna work. No, it's 30% chance that one or the other would work. So yeah, as long as you're clear with that. So that's why I know I'm gonna have challenges, but I know I'm gonna get through them. And even if I fail, I've got plenty of options, but I don't care about those options yet.
It's really interesting. You touched on there, you help people to rediscover the why are they doing it and why Simon Sinek introduced the concept. Yes. But for people listening who either need to rediscover their why, so they're finding it really challenging at the moment for whatever reason, how could you give them something practical, or a couple of things that are practical that will help them to rediscover that element, so to recreate that, whether it's fire in the belly or...
Yeah, you need to, in that situation, you need to take the time to think through that. And we would rather avoid doing this type of research, because when you're in that situation, you have to put more work in. So it's not easy to take time out. So first is to take time out to think about this, and then to find ways to think about it. If you don't have a coach, obviously you can get one, but if you want now with AI, you can, if you've got a ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, you could just say, you tell him, hey, Chat, please act as the greatest coach ever. And I don't know why I'm doing this. Can you ask me open-ended questions to help me think through that? I'm sure you're going to already get some insights. You can, actually, I'm talking about ChatGPT and Claude, but I've trained a version of myself, like Renaud AI, where you can, it's free. In my LinkedIn, you find the link, or on the website as well. But it's, you just tell that, you just say that I'm stuck. I want to give up, or I don't know why I'm doing that. I don't even know why I'm not giving up now. Why I'm going through all that trouble where I could be an exec with a 9-to-5, a great package, like why I'm doing that. I've not, the 3 first years of my entrepreneurship journey, I did not give me any salary. 0. It's, when I look at it, it's crazy.
Not uncommon.
Yeah, no, sure. But what I'm saying is that when I started, if people would have told me you're not going to earn anything for 3 years, and then you're going to have that stress where the business is not going to go as you wish to, and it's in 3 months' time you might not have any visibility, or that, I would not have said yes. But I discovered that as I was doing and going through the deep myself, going into personal development, meditation, all those practices to be more self-aware. So you understand, who you are, how you interact with the world, how you see the world, and what's your core values, what's your core beliefs, so that you make sense of this world. For me, what makes sense, again, very logical, it's relationship. My mission is to help people to work together, even if they have differing views. You can be from different religion, you can believe in a different economical approach, capitalism or socialism, whatever. We share one world, we share the same resources. We have to find ways to live together. And so my mission is that I want to have the biggest impact possible in helping people to have better relationship. And I'm talking with your neighbor as well, because that's the same thing. Like the presidents, when we see Trump talking with other leaders in this world, they're just humans and they are just people having difficult relationship. I'm clear on that mission. And so it's whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. That's what makes sense to me. What actually something come to my mind. I need to ask yourself that could be very impactful. Let's say you project yourself, you're like 80, 90, whatever you feel is a great age, and you're on your deathbed, basically, you know that you're going to die. Just ask yourself, look back, and what do you want to see? What do you want to see? How do you want to feel about what has happened?
Yeah.
And that's an impactful question that will give you some insights, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you can see that it is that time element to sit and to reflect. Just a quick question. It's interesting there that obviously my world day to day is all about people. It's all about building a really strong leadership team, and then ultimately that sort of ripples through the business. And Cayus AI. So my question is, how do you see AI changing the way leaders make decisions, interact with each other? Because I guess the fear is that AI will make us even more isolated and those connections will become less and less. People talk about businesses. I think Sam Altman talked about a multi-billion-dollar business with half a dozen employees.
Yeah, I believe that it's going to shape the world in a different way for sure. But we need leadership more than ever, because it's not like we're gonna all eat ice cream and not have to work or do anything and enjoy our Netflix subscription. That's not gonna be tomorrow, and hopefully it's never gonna be, because it's not a life I would want to have myself. It sounds fulfilling, but let's talk after a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, and you're not gonna enjoy it as much. All of the replicating myself as a coach in a way, and as a founder, I know everything about my product. I could train a version of myself about this as well. And so one of my employees could ask anything to that Renaud founder AI, and it's going to have a lot of answers from that. So it does not have to interact as much with me for all the operational stuff. And that's part of you as a manager. You have to communicate, help in terms of giving information, knowledge, how would you do that, etc. But leading people, getting to know people, getting to support people, the leadership part of it, nobody's ever going to be led by an AI. It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to want to report to an AI. I know some people got married to an AI but it's in the US. I think it's more of a marketing stunt, but it's not going to happen. You can't report to an AI. You would want to always report to a human being, and that human being is going to have to be very good in leadership, because it's going to be his main role.
Yeah.
It's going to, and people are going to seek that connection even more. The more you isolate people, the more they would seek that connection, and that's how it's going to reshape itself. Yeah, you can do a lot more by yourself, but I believe that a lot, especially now, a lot of people are trying to optimize and automate things with AI. And I'm not saying they should not do that, but it doesn't replace building a team. It does not replace this element, because it's not because it's not ready for it. I think there's still a bit of work, but you can do a lot. Yeah. But you can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. You have to have the right team, and it's a lot more enjoyable as well.
Yeah, I agree for what it's worth. But jumping in and saying, let's reflect on the things that you're learning at the moment, dealing with and coaching leaders, your own leadership journey. What's one of the biggest misconceptions you think founders have got about growing teams and leading them?
Okay, that's what I used to think. I've hired more on the skill set, like hard skills. That person is a great developer. It's got that experience. And even after being hired and within the team, like if keeping the person based on those hard skills is not a good deal. I was saying that I would rather have someone would be 20-30% less performing in their role, but to actually but to fit within the culture of the company, to be able to work with other people within the company. That's a common mistake. Because you want someone ready now, you want to go fast, and the culture element is the one that you're not even aware if you're not into this stuff. And that's what becomes the biggest hurdle. You listen to all of those guys. I watched a podcast from the CEO of Snapchat, and he's saying that himself. That was our problem. And I wish we have done that faster earlier on, to look at the culture, like really think before even the first hire, who we are as a co-founders, what do we want to have as a team?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different shape, a lot of
Yes.
different ways to do it. It's fine. It's what's your identity. And don't look at others, just look at yourself, guys. What do you want as a team, and who are you as a team, and who do you want to become? And you hire based on that. And just like the goals of the company, it has to be reminded like very often. This is what we want. This is what we're into. And that makes things a lot easier for everything else, because it will help you make faster decisions, because you have those criteria against which you can take those decisions on.
Spot on. Experience has taught me that's where the magic happens in a business. With technology, it can find skills, it can research capabilities, it can do all that good stuff. Is this person as good as they look on paper? But the reality is getting it right in terms of whether it's cultural alignment, whatever terminology you want to use.
Yeah.
It's so that the person is going to add value to the team and the business by hiring them. But I could go on for hours on that topic, which I won't, because I'm interviewing you, not the other way around. For leaders who are maybe overwhelmed or feeling a little bit isolated, and they want to, you talk a lot about clarity, connection. What couple of practical steps could they take to regain clarity and connection with their team?
If you feel isolated, there's a reason for that. And because as a tech founder, you're definitely in the middle of everything, like with investors, suppliers, customers, and your team. What I'm doing, and what I tell my clients to do, is that my clients, they have me, but so they are not isolated because they're the coach. But you could do that with a mentor. It's a different approach, but you're not alone. And also to join other groups so that you can share with other people that are in the same situation. In every industry, there's peer groups and there's events. Yeah, you need to get out there, and it's to acknowledge this and to acknowledge that actually I need help.
Yeah. That's
very important, because you don't have to do it by yourself. For a lot of things, like I know I'm capable to do a lot by myself, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it because I'm gonna be the bottleneck.
Yeah.
So I can't do it alone. It's not gonna happen alone.
Yeah. And just sticking with that theme, how do you think founders can balance that ambition to want to be successful and possibly not, and it feels uncomfortable to acknowledge that I can't do this on my own? How can they balance their ambition with their own sort of self-care?
That's very simple. If you don't have self-care, you're never gonna reach your ambitions. So you can be I am very ambitious, but I know that I've got multiple startups because I've got a family. And that counts as an AI startup. They are fairly young as well. But if it's not sustainable for your health, then you're not going to make it. So you have to have your non-negotiables.
Yeah. And
for me, it's the non-negotiables are my sports, my workout every day, so that it puts me into that energy that I need to be happy and to be out there doing what I'm doing. I also obviously have my coaches for different subjects, like public speaking. There's the business side, there's the mindset and accountability. But yeah, it's one doesn't go with the other. So I'm not saying that sometimes when I'm traveling, going to events and stuff, I'm completely shattered, and sometimes I would just sleep 5 hours in the night, but this is exceptional. It can't be like, this is not the normal, they are non-negotiables, and you have to always go back to that.
Yeah. And to recalibrate sometimes when you feel you're swaying too far away from those.
Foundations. It's the foundations. If you don't have the foundations right, then something's going to collapse. And you know what? A lot of people are doing that. And yes, they are successful. But first, what is your definition of success?
Yeah.
Because multimillionaires, I know a lot of them. I would not exchange my life to any of those guys. And primarily for what reason? Is because they gave up on everything else.
Yeah.
There's a few that are still married. Nowadays, everybody's divorced. But what I'm saying is that even like talking to their kids, a lot of them, they don't know their kids. And you're not going to build a relationship when they turn 16 or 20. No, it's when they're young. And that's actually a differentiator that's very powerful as well, because it gives you so much. If you're in the right energy, if you are like healthy, then you make better decisions. If you work 16 hours, you're not going to be more performing than if you work for 8 hours, because when you work 8 hours, the day after, you're gonna be all in shape and ready to tackle the next challenge. And it's also good to do other things, because that's when you become creative. So yeah, there's definitely not a lot of benefits to work like crazy hours.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to that theme that you started with right at the beginning of self-awareness, self-reflection, and taking that time to understand. And it changes through your life in terms of what does success look like for me now. That could be different if you've got a family, not got a family, how old that your children are, etc., whatever commitments you've got in your life. So if you could give one piece of advice to someone about to step into a major leadership role for the first time, what would it be?
I would say there's some books that I found really inspiring that helped me a lot in my journey. And one is Time to Think from Nancy Klein. It's actually not, it is a bit about management, but it's very much about how to help other people think. That's what you want to do with your team, because they are the best at what they do. That's why you hire them. So you want them to do the best of their work. And by helping them think, you also build that relationship. And then there's another book that on top of this that is from Chris Voss, which is Never Split the Difference. He's an ex-FBI hostage negotiator. And it goes a bit further, which is, it's about listening and asking questions to find he calls it the black swan. What's the information that the person you're interacting with is not necessarily giving you, not because he's hiding it, but it's just that you did not ask, or like you're not going deep enough. And the purpose is for Never Split the Difference, is that you both are happy about that deal, whatever the deal that you have. And when you are leading and managing employees, you're negotiating a lot, and you want to find out what's their intrinsic motivation, and they don't even know themselves usually, and you can help them uncover this so that you can adapt to the extent that you can and that you're willing to, but at least you know what that person is after, and you can help find ways to make it happen so that everybody's happy and we are all working towards our own goals together.
Oh, I love that. Really interesting. So what's a myth that you'd like to bust about entrepreneurship, but leadership?
A myth. I think I covered quite a bit there. No, I think, as I said, there's quite a few, but the fact of hiring on hard skills, definitely not the way to go. And yeah, no.
I think one that you've drawn out really is the fact that we're not all the same.
Yes. That's when you understand that, because when you say it like this, it's, of course, we know we're not all the same. But when you understand that people have their own worlds and they don't see the world the same way as you do, that's the main difference. We don't live in the same world. We don't. You believe that, we are different people, they don't look the same, they don't have the same life, etc. But that shapes their view of the world. And so if you say something in a way, you don't know how it's going to be perceived, because you're not them. And so you have to take that in consideration so that you make sure that the message comes across, and not comes across as you would want it to be expressed to you, but as it would be understood by the person in front of you. And so that requires communication skills and also empathy and a lot of different skills that helps you build those relationships.
We're almost getting to the end. I've got just a couple more quick fire questions for you, if I can.
Yep.
So what is your go-to method for clearing your head?
So that's sports, clears my head, definitely. But not only, I would meditate. So take the time. There's lots of ways to meditate. But that's my go-to.
Yeah. And then the final question is, what's the most surprising thing that you've learned from coaching other founders?
That, again, is going back to, yes, we're all different, but we face most of the time the same challenges. It's letting go of who we are so we can become who we need to become for the business, for our ambition. So it's those challenges of letting go of, it could be different things, but it's the challenges to be able to see that and to overcome that. It's, even though we are all different, there's something that people are sticking to and not letting go of. And that's an interesting one every time.
Yeah, in itself is very interesting. Again, coming full circle, self-reflection and having a coach where that's going to be helpful. So for those listening, all Renaud's contact details, information about his book will be in the description below, so you can reach out to Renaud via his LinkedIn. I will get all those posted, but I just want to say a huge thank you. It has been really insightful, helpful, and I am absolutely confident that there are some fantastic takeaways there for people.
Thank you very much, Nikki, for this opportunity. Love chatting with you anytime.
My pleasure. That's it for this episode of Scaling Stories Unfiltered. And if you got value from today's conversation, hit the subscribe and leave a comment. It helps us bring even more real stories your way. Got a scale-up challenge, a story to share, or you want to recommend someone that I should interview? Take a look at the link to our website and pop a message in there. But that's it for today. Until the next time, keep watching, keep scaling, and remember, you're not alone on your scale-up journey.